Hi, everyone. Welcome. So today I am going to describe ways in which you can experience yourself as that essence that you really are at your core, something I will call the soul. And this experience is something that can be really important these days during your challenging experiences of ascension, especially on days when things may get so tough that you fall into depression or despair, or you just get stuck, maybe in experiencing yourself as an uncomfortable, dense body that's in constant pain or discomfort. If that's what's happening. Or you just can't seem to shut your mind off, or your emotions are dragging you down, and you're wondering if you really want to go on. You've maybe noticed that the ascension process can really bring you to this point at times. It can get really rough. It's just where we are at this point. So being able to experience yourself as that pure divine essence that you are can really help you through these times. And it can give you a sense of calm detachment and profound peace and a sense of freedom, and help you remember why you're here, what you're here to do. It can somehow make the whole journey on earth during these times not only worthwhile, but actually joyful and pleasurable. But first of all, I want to say that talking about the soul is a somewhat tricky subject because everyone probably has their own definition of what this term means, right? I even hesitate to use the term soul because it can be immediately interpreted as something that most religions have described for many, many centuries. And my definition is, I think, somewhat different. So first of all, a lot of religious traditions refer to the soul as something we have. It's a something that's somewhere inside of us, right? When I use the term, it refers to what we essentially are. We have a body, a mind, and emotions, and even what we might call our spiritual self. But who we are is a soul. And this is an individual spark of source. We actually are source, just an individual expression of it. Also, as I use the term, the soul is something that exists on many different dimensions, some of which we're currently aware of, and many of which we probably aren't. And it also includes an aspect of us that's generally referred to as our higher self. That part of us that exists in higher dimensions of reality. So our higher self is part of who we are as this soul. And the soul is what we will be fully identified with in reaching the fifth dimension. And knowing ourselves to be the soul, we will be completely free of all identification with our limited 3D personality self that we're mostly involved with at this point. We will have left behind all tendencies to fall back into emotional suffering or thoughts of lack and limitation. And we will know ourselves beyond a doubt to be this glorious and vast, multidimensional soul, this divine spark of source that we are. So I think you get the idea of what I'm referring to, right? I just want to be clear about this because so many spiritual misunderstandings and arguments take place because people don't clearly define what they mean in using certain terms. They make assumptions that words mean the same thing to everyone who uses them. Like the word God, for instance. Everyone is really speaking about something very individual. But anyway, we just have to be aware of that. So now I want to add something else to how I see and experience the soul. And that is that it has many facets to it, various qualities we can experience when we tune into it, such as love and light, joy, and harmony, peace, and freedom. So when we experience these qualities, at least to some degree or another, we are in tune with our essential nature as a soul. We're at least kind of tuned into it. However, the soul appears to me to have two primary qualities or aspects, and those are divine light and divine love. And often people relate more to one of these qualities than the other, but generally, I think we probably relate to both of them to one degree or another. So let me first describe what the experiences can be like of these two qualities, and then we'll do a guided meditation at the end that may assist you into experiencing them. And let's focus first on the experience of ourselves as light. So you're probably aware that, many religions and metaphysical teachings often speak of light, stating that source emanates this ethereal divine substance out unto all of creation, and that, in fact, at times they'll state that all actually is light. Certain scientists also claim this, and maybe you have had experiences that have reflected this truth. Perhaps you've seen this divine light with your inner eye when you've meditated, or have felt yourself surrounded and infused by it. Or maybe you've had a profound awakening experience in which you actually realize that light is your essential nature, or that light is all there is, that everything is composed of light. These kinds of experiences can be exhilarating and leave a profound impact on you. You feel less dense and larger and more ethereal, more light and free and calm. And in different traditions, this experience of yourself as pure light has been called by different names, but samadhi is perhaps one of the most common ones, as it's been described by numerous mystics of Eastern traditions throughout the ages. It's usually explained that it's an experience you can only attain after many years of concentrated meditation. However, it's my experience that this is no longer so. In these times that we're in now, with all the energies flowing onto the earth, I think it's become a very different playing ground here. Even people who haven't meditated for long, or maybe even ever, are now having experiences of this state of ecstatic, light-filled being. And this is because like I say, the higher dimensional frequencies are now flooding the earth, making these kinds of experiences more possible than ever before. And it may be true that you can't, bring it on every time you attempt to, but you can at least begin to come closer every time you try it. Because after a while, certain inner pathways get established. And it's almost like your consciousness and your body know what to do when you just start focusing on the experience that you've had before, and they remember how to create it again. However, it is important to understand that even in the fifth dimension, samadhi, or this experience of light-filled bliss, is not a state of being that is constantly experienced. It's an intense state of being that appears and eventually disappears. It comes and it goes. But as these experiences come and go, your whole consciousness does become more and more flavored with them. And the main thing to realize is that the state of samadhi is not foreign to you. Your higher self is already familiar with it. It is one of your natural states of being. And probably in many other lifetimes, you've experienced it before, maybe both on and off this planet. You've just maybe forgotten this throughout your sojourn in the third dimension. So, okay. That's what I want to say about light. Let's now focus on the other primary facet of the soul as I see it, which is love. Love is another term that can present challenges when we use it because it's a term that's used for a number of different experiences we could have. People throw it around to mean anything from something they enjoy doing or eating to a feeling of desire for someone, including sexual desire, to a feeling of need they have for someone, and to a profound spiritual experience. The word love is used for all those things. And in general, the kind of love we experience, when we're in 3D consciousness, usually feels really good, right? But it's usually an emotion that is conditional. At times, it can even switch instantly into hatred for some people. The experience of being in love is especially fraught with sensations of desire and need and lust, and usually with a hope of finally feeling loved and desired by someone. Whereas spiritual love, of course, is quite different. Although a powerful emotional element can accompany it, spiritual love is totally unconditional in its expression and is free of all these other lower dimensional patterns. And this, of course, is the kind of love I'm referring to, one that is somehow transcendent and one that can alter your whole sense of being when you're experiencing it. In a way, it's not even an emotion. It's so much more. There's a purity with it, right? An all-encompassing sense of beauty and awe, an energy that can take over your whole sense of being at times. At its most extreme, the experience of this kind of spiritual love can feel as if your heart is just bursting open to the divine. It fills your entire being and streams out to everyone and everything around you. And your chest can feel warm and expanded and pulsating with vibrant energy. And you find that all mind chatter just ceases as you continue experiencing this extraordinary transformation of your being. If you've ever had an experience like this, you've likely found that the energy rushing through you is so powerful that tears just fill your eyes. You may even dissolve into sobs of joy and gratitude. Such an experience can be so intense that you feel as if you're made of nothing but love. And it doesn't matter for whom you feel the love. It's the love itself that's pouring through you that fills you with joy and exhilaration. And you experience the immense power of this love. You can recognize it as perhaps the most powerful force in the universe. Now, it can sometimes be confusing that this kind of transcendent love emanates from the same heart in which very harsh and painful emotions can also exist. How can this be? Like I was saying, it can be confusing when we use certain terms, and heart is another one of them. The truth is, we all actually have what could be called two energetic aspects of ourselves that have been referred to as the heart. The first is our emotional heart, the one that most people recognize, and it's the one that, can experience emotional love, but it can also feel all emotions, including those like hatred and fear and jealousy and grief. And this heart, of course, is the one that needs healing and that a lot of people focus on. And all of that is really important. But the other heart is the one we could call our sacred heart or the spiritual heart or the higher heart, sometimes people call it. And it's actually a center within your being that has little to do with most emotions. Energetically, it's located just above your emotional heart. You can feel into this. And it's a complex configuration of higher energies. And it's where you experience this spiritual love. And it's been called the portal to the soul. And once you become aware of it, it can feel like a doorway into this higher aspect of yourself. And when you experience spiritual love toward a person emanating from this heart, it simply is. There's nothing the person can do or say that will ever change it because you're relating to them as a soul rather than as a personality. You may not choose to allow them to express certain behaviors toward you, or even wish to spend time with them maybe. But no matter what they may do, you just continue to love them just as they are. You understand that, like everyone, they are doing their very best, considering how spiritually or psychologically awake they happen to be, and the circumstances they're in. And in the fifth dimension, this is the kind of love you'll be experiencing toward everyone and every living creature. It'll be natural with no conditions. No matter what is occurring, compassion, understanding, and empathy will be present because of this sacred heart. So experiencing this spiritual love in your sacred heart is an important step in preparing you to enter the fifth dimension. But if you're feeling closed down and separate, it can sometimes be very difficult to experience it, right? You can feel blocked. And this is because in order to fully enter your sacred heart and experience the profound love that's residing there, it is generally necessary to first pass through your emotional heart. And if this heart is closed and full of fear or anger or hatred, it's going to generally block you from trying to enter your sacred heart. You can't just bypass these kinds of heavy emotions and get into that higher heart. So if these emotions are stuck in your emotional heart, it's important to first face and experience them and heal them so that you can then pass through the doorway to your sacred heart and the divine love that you want to feel. But experiencing the heavy emotions, of course, can be challenging because it can be painful to fully meet these emotions that create suffering for you. You're going to feel a natural resistance to doing this, a fear of getting overwhelmed by them. You just want to get around them somehow. But resisting them generally doesn't work. Like I say, this part of the spiritual bypass that people sometimes try, attempting to push past the unresolved emotional wounding and trauma, trying to just experience freedom and bliss, just doesn't work. But the good news is that it doesn't have to be a long, drawn out process of healing over months anymore, like it was at one time. To heal your emotional heart of heavy emotions such as grief and sorrow and hatred and hurt these days, it can be a much more simple process. You simply need to be open to allowing them to rise to the surface in your awareness and meet them with compassion for yourself. And before attempting to immediately release or change them, you need to be willing for just a few moments to fully experience them and accept them without judgment. In essence, your heart kind of first needs to be allowed to break before it can fully mend and heal. But it doesn't need to be a long, painful, drawn-out process. Have you ever noticed at times that when a sensation of deep love for someone begins to fill you, you can initially experience a sense of your heart painfully breaking? Before you begin feeling the love, you surprisingly feel overwhelming grief or sorrow arising. If this has ever happened to you, you might immediately want to close down, not realizing this is a preliminary step for you to experience the opening of your emotional heart. Now, at the same time, if you're in this situation where you do feel deep grief arising, it's important to not fall into, the old third dimensional tendency to feel self-pity and begin wallowing in that. Instead, you can just choose to consciously allow the sensation of heartbreak and be with yourself compassionately, as the waves of sorrow pass through you. Because in doing this, you will discover that right behind this sorrow is the love you have so desperately longed for, along with an enormous sense of relief and gratitude. You realize that that glorious unconditional love has always been there. It's just somehow been blocked. And you become aware of the pain you have caused yourself in holding back your own love for yourself. As the painful energy that has been locked up in your emotional heart is released, you may find yourself alternately crying and laughing. And then, with this release, a profound opening into the sacred heart can occur, creating a sense of spiritual ecstasy that is part of your spiritual nature. But as we know, facing and releasing pain from your emotional heart can be an intense process. And if it feels too difficult to do alone, it may be helpful to seek help with this, either from a friend or a professional. However, there are simple techniques you can try on your own that can help you to gently release painful emotions. And one of them is a type of meditation that simply involves the breath. And what you do is you begin by taking some continuous deep breaths, in and out, while focusing on your emotional heart. And with each in-breath, you draw in divine love from Source. And with each out-breath, you breathe out the heavy emotions. Very simple. This practice can greatly loosen and release heavy emotions. At some point, you can start feeling your sacred heart opening and experience the warmth of the abiding love that has been flowing into your entire being. So the main thing is that however you manage to clear heavy energies from your emotional heart, you'll find you again have access to your sacred heart and experience the profound love in that space. And if you maintain a conscious focus on this heart, you begin to naturally radiate this love wherever you go. And eventually you can begin to experience yourself as love itself. And with this consciousness, you become a healing presence to all around you, to the world, right? You've maybe experienced this at times. Okay, so now let's bring these two aspects of the soul together, both light and love. So you can see how you can begin to experience yourself as the soul. Of course, there are many ways to do this, but this is just one rather simple way that you might find helpful. So the first thing to do is to become aware of what's been called your etheric body, one of the several energy bodies you have. You have an etheric body, an emotional body, a mental body, and a spiritual body. They all exist in and through your physical body and are somewhat larger, extending outside of it. So if this is new to you, just become aware of this for a moment. Even just on this third dimensional level, you can realize that you have an energetic presence and that you are much larger than your physical body. Energetically, you extend outside of this body. Now, your etheric body is the one that is closest to your physical body. It's a replica of your physical body, actually, although it's perfect in form, because if you by chance have injured or lost an organ or a limb on your body, it still retains a perfect energetic form of that. It's also the body you leave your physical body in when you fall asleep at night to experience other realms of existence. And like I say, it vibrates both throughout your physical body and also extends somewhat outside of it. Your physical body is essentially inside of it. So, to become more aware of this etheric body, why don't we just maybe start by taking some deep breaths and to quiet your mind. Just close your eyes, take some breaths, and take a few moments to do this. And now see if you can just feel into a somewhat deeper place within yourself that is less dense and more energetic. You can know you have felt into your etheric body when you begin feeling kind of a subtle vibrating energy all through you. Your body somehow feels more alive. It's kind of buzzing. And you can then realize that this energy also slightly extends as an ethereal form all around your physical body. Outside of it, maybe an inch or so. And as you tune into this more subtle aspect of yourself, you may find you immediately feel a sense of greater lightness and freedom, a sense of deep calm, maybe even a quiet sense of bliss kind of washing through you. Automatically in a higher state of awareness. You can maybe even focus your attention on the part of this energetic body that's above your head and feel yourself lifting up out of your physical body and then dropping back down again. So now, experiencing yourself as this lighter, energetic body, you can become aware of the light that is flowing all through it. See if you can experience this, feeling a sense of being infused with light. This energy you're experiencing is actually light. And then to help enhance this experience, it can be helpful to also call in divine light from Source. Draw it into yourself. See if you can visualize the light as it enters you. Maybe you can feel it as an even greater energetic shift. And now with each breath, draw this light further into yourself and feel it filling your entire being. Every part of you is being filled with light. It's filling your head, your heart, and your gut, all your chakras, your arms and legs. Feel its soft, gentle presence being drawn ever more deeply within you. And now see it even streaming out of your body and into your aura, and then out into the world. See if you can experience how you are now aware of yourself as pure, luminous light. Actually, as I say, you are already this being of light, but calling more light into you from Source can just illuminate this. You can see that as this being of light, you feel as if you're glowing, and that you extend out into space in a much larger form. You are a clear space of light, at times a vast, shimmering sea of light. And you realize this is the essence of what you are. Pure light, free, calm, open. You shine as this large, glowing form of light. And now you can become aware that as this light, you are also infused with divine love. Love for all of creation, just pure love. This is when a feeling of exquisite ecstasy and profound peace can take hold. You find you don't want to move or think any thoughts that might bring you back into a denser experience of yourself. You're just pure love as well as pure light. Now, if by chance you can't quite feel the love flooding through you, it may mean that there are stuck emotions in your emotional heart. And if so, don't be concerned, just ask to be aware of these emotions. What are they? What do they relate to? And don't go into a whole long investigation of them. Just acknowledge that they're there. Allow them to just be. And bring in compassion for yourself for feeling them. These emotions just want to know that it's okay that they're there. You're not pushing them away. You're not judging yourself for experiencing them. And in doing this, just allowing them to be, having compassion for yourself, now see if you can continue to find your way into the Sacred Heart. It's a little higher up in your chest. It's a portal. And feel the kind of love that is there. You can be aware of your higher self that is present there also. And again, just realize that who you are is a large field of light and love. Within this field, now become aware of your physical body. It's just resting there inside of you. You're free to move within it or around it. Something you have temporarily that allows you to experience physical materiality. It's certainly not the whole of who you are. It's a vehicle you've taken on in this physical realm that you as a soul have incarnated into. But it's there inside of who you are, alive and breathing. So now become aware of thoughts that are floating around within this light-filled, love-filled space that is you. Notice how they can come and go. They are not you either, not even a part of you, unless you claim them and make them temporarily a part of your identity. But do you want to do that? Can you feel how that might limit you, confine you, make you smaller and stuck somehow if you were to attach to these thought forms? You don't have to. You can just let them be there, float in and around you. Some of them may be useful, some not, some repetitious. Just let them be. You don't have to attach to them. And now see if you can become aware of emotions that may be floating within this large, clear space that is you. Maybe there's guilt, shame, or fear, or hatred that have felt attached to you. Past somehow? Can you see how they are not actually a part of you either as this soul? They too are just energy forms floating within this field of consciousness that you are. And actually so are other more positive emotions, even emotional love. They are temporary energy forms you have probably claimed and identified with, but it can be a choice, a decision to experience them that you can make and not pull them in and be glued to you. These emotional forms really aren't a part of you. They're simply there to experience and then let go of. Now, the essential qualities of love and joy and harmony and freedom aren't actually emotions. They are energies that are an essential aspect of you as a soul. Can you feel how these energies are inherently a part of who you are as this field of light and love? They're woven into the very fabric of who you are. They don't come and go. Only your awareness of them does. So now, become aware that even though you are this individual field of light and love and these other beautiful qualities, you are also something much, much larger. If you feel into it, you can see that you can begin to feel yourself extending further and further out into the room, and then extending outside even ever larger. And then you can become aware that what you are is actually everywhere. You are all that exists in creation, a pure field of consciousness, of divine light and love and harmony and joy and all of those beautiful essential qualities. You are both an individual field of light and love, and you are pure consciousness itself that extends into everything that is. Just rest in this awareness for a bit. And so now, with all this awareness of how vast and clear and powerful you are, bring your focus to your current life and any challenges you may be facing at this time, any difficult situations you're in, or uncertainties you're feeling, any relationships giving you challenges. Just become aware of these things. How does it feel to contemplate them, knowing that you are not simply the body-mind entity you might generally feel yourself to be? Do you feel your inherent power as this soul, your ability to face anything that might come along? Can you feel the calm assurance you have, the knowing that you can handle your life no matter what may come your way? Is it clear how you are both ancient, you've been through everything, and you are also eternal? So I hope this was helpful. It's a series of steps that might assist you in experiencing yourself as this core essence of who you are. And you can follow them at any time, or you can come up with a process of your own that works, right? In time, you'll realize that you don't even have to go through steps of awareness like this. You just have to kind of do it at the beginning. Eventually, you can just tune in to what is there because you've already created a pathway to it. And you can just experience it at any time and just carry it with you throughout your life, whatever it is you're doing, whatever situation you're in. It will totally change your life, knowing who you are. So this is where I will leave you. From one soul to another, I give you much love and many blessings.